it. So we've done through that, growing from 0 to 300K. You said in 4 years, maybe that was a lie from me. It actually took 5. What I've learned about growth funding and how to set priorities, I thought it was a sexy title. So I'm the one who can move to the next slide. Great, here it is. So first things first, I want you to look at this graph and see how fucking painful it's been. So we started at the first quarter of 2012, so before we didn't have a tracking system, or Recurely was not up, or I don't remember. We were quite, a little bit enterprisey, a little bit self-service. We didn't really know. Here we started self-service, full, whoop, little bump, and then flat. I mean, there is growth when you look. If you looked at those numbers at Q3, Q4, 2014, you would see some growth. It was like an additional 1,000 every month, 2,000 maybe. So it was awfully, horrendously slow. And during all these times, we were losing money. A little bit of money, like 5K, 4K, 6K a month. Ben and I didn't pay ourselves for like a year. We paid ourselves minimum wage for like a year and a half. So it was really, really difficult. Couldn't sleep at night. Really, we were in a tunnel. It was all dark, and we didn't know where the light was. That's really how we felt, especially me. And then, but we kind of knew what we needed to do to get out of the tunnel and try to see the light. But we had no idea how long it would take. And we started to work on those different pivots. I'm not going to go through them, it's too long. It would take an entire 20 minutes. And in 2015, we started to get a little lift. And then in 2016 and 2017, that lift goes on and goes on and goes on. And now we're well on to finishing the year at 500K, and we're going for 1 million for next year, which from the outside looks like a great story. But as Steve Jobs, I love Steve Jobs quotes, they're all great. Overnight success usually takes a long time, and it was true for him. It's true for anybody on the business, except for a couple of exceptions that the media love to brag about, but those are like the 0.1% exception, which is cool that we have 4 more years to be in unicorn, because we've already spent 6 years, so now we have 4 more years to be the what it is, $1 billion company, which I don't really care about. And what I learned from that is also something that Gary Vaynerchuk, you guys know Gary Vaynerchuk, everybody knows Gary. There is one thing Gary says over and over and over in all his videos is you need to be patient. Patience is the #1 skill and the #1 attribute that you need to build. And he's the first one to say, it took me a long time to be successful. And everybody knows Gary. He has like more energy than all of us combined. And when you look at him, you say, fuck, I can't be this guy. He's so good. He's so good, but he had to be patient to be successful. We all have to be patient to be successful. So, and trust me, for me, it was like beyond hard. The second thing that kind of goes with the patience is persistence. Things always take more time than you expect. You build a house, it will take more time. You build a software, it will take more time. You're looking for success, it will take more time. And I want to tell you a story about that. When we started AgoraPulse, Ben and I, we've been working together for 10 years, and we've been failing at everything, almost. And it was a bit of a despair. We were not in a good mood, and it was kind of, okay, this is our last try. That's the 3rd pivot. We're not going to try a 4th pivot. This one has to work. And I told Ben, well, we were launching the software, and we were looking at like a 49 euro RPU. And I told Ben, a year from now, we need to be making 49,000 euro a month. I mean, if we make 49K a month, I'll keep going. If we don't, I'll shut it down. I'm done. I'm done with efforts. I'm done with minimum wage. I'm done with not succeeding, basically. Took us 3 years to get to 49K. So that's where persistence, even though you want to get there, if it's going up and to the right, keep doing it. It may take 3 years, but what's coming after will be worth it. The third thing I learned also is everybody tells you need a big vision, you need to change the market, disrupt, dominate the world. This is bullshit. What you need is a strong drive to success. And I want to tell you a story I heard from a guy named David Cancel. David, I know we're live if you listen to us. He's the founder of Drift, great product, and he has an awesome podcast called Seeking Wisdom, which is as awesome as Alex's podcast, SaaStock, which you all have to subscribe when you get out. And he told that story, which resonated with me big time. It's a little bit a long story, but I want to tell you because I think it's very important to get the bottom line of it. So it's a young guy who wants to be successful, and he goes to a party where a lot of successful entrepreneurs, and he spots an old entrepreneur who's been successful, and he goes to him and he says, I want to be successful. I want to have the same level of success that you've had. Please teach me how. And the successful guy says, okay, fine, meet me tomorrow at 4 a.m. at the river, and I'll teach you. And they meet at the river at 4 a.m., and the old guy tells the one guy, okay, you're still ready? You want to be successful? Still ready for this? Yes, I am. And they start walking toward the river until they had water to the ankles. And then the old guy looks at him and says, you're still ready for success? You still want to be successful? And it's 4 a.m., it's kind of chilly, it's in Boston in the winter. But the young guy is super motivated, he wants to get there. He says, yes, I'm ready. Keep walking into the water until they got water to the waist. And the old guy looks at the young guy and says, you're in it? You're sure? You want to continue learning how to be successful? Yes, I want to be successful. And they keep walking until they get water to the chin, and then the old guy, I mean, are you sure? It's fucking chilly here, right? It's freezing. And say, yes, I want to learn, I want to be successful. Then he takes his head and puts his head under water for like a minute. And the guy can't breathe, it's awful. It's like, bloop, 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 bloop. Takes his head off, and he said, what did you think when you had your head underwater for a minute? And the guy said, I wanted to breathe, I wanted to breathe. And the old guy looks at him and says, you'll be ready to be successful when you'll have your head underwater like this, and the only thing you'll be thinking about will be, I want to be successful. So I love that story because obviously it's a story. It made me laugh too. It's a story, it's an image, but the image is you need to have a strong drive, and you have to think about your success and where you want to go every time, in every situation, even the worst. So I love that story, and I wanted to share it with you. Thank you, David Cancel, for sharing it. So that's my rant about VCs. You can do that, the VCs in the room. VCs don't care about good business. They don't care. They just care about business that are shooting for the moon, who are going to be owning the market, who are going to own the market, who are going to be leader, the first, the $1 billion, yada, yada, yada. Still, 7 out of their 10 investments will miserably fail. So they've been mistaken 7 times out of 10, at least. But they don't care about buying a good business or the promise of a good business. We've learned that the hard way, 4 times. We tried to raise money in 2011, get out of the room. We tried again in 2012. We got a little bit of seed money, 250K. I have to be perfectly honest and transparent here, but it was very small. And we tried again in 2015, they said no, and we tried again last year. We ended up in November by us saying no. And we also tried to apply to 500 startups, and they said no, market's too competitive, your competitors are too big, they're too rich, we don't know how you're going to make it, yada, yada, yada. So the thing is, right now, we have good metrics. We make profit every month, so we're not very motivated anymore to give away equity and to have someone in the company that's not necessarily going to help us apart from the money. But our takeaway is, thank God we didn't need the money to keep going. And my advice to you, as much as you can, is try to build something that does not require raising money. Because if you do that, you're basically playing lottery. You're basically buying a lottery ticket and say, fuck, I hope I'm going to have the VC in that lottery ticket. Oh, I don't. Well, I go back to work and to my old job. I hate bets. I hate playing. I hate lottery. I've never bought a lottery ticket in my entire life because I hate the idea of I don't own this. I have no control over this. And I advise you to do whatever you can to do that. So very quickly, some businesses require VC funding, some others don't. You heavily need salespeople. You need VC money. It's too expensive. It takes too much time. You're selling to the enterprise. You need salespeople. You need VC money. Your thing has no viral effect in it whatsoever. You want to build the all-in-one product that does it all in one. You need VC money. So there are a lot of stuff that you don't want to do because they will force you to raise money. And there are a lot of stuff that you can do with very little money. No money is difficult, but very little is feasible. If you're in businesses inbound, SMB, you want to do a best-of-breed single feature, and so on and so forth. So that could do an entire presentation. So I'm going to move to what we've actually done. So again, we have 10 minutes here, not even 10 minutes, to get to profitability. So I want to just share a couple of okay, we're good. Couple of things we've done. The first thing we've done, and I know there are a lot of French people in the room, be truly international from day one. And I mean this. I mean, you hear me speaking, I spoke in English in many American conferences in my social media little ecosystem. I've done that many times. 90% of my friends are Americans or English, mostly Americans, because that's where all the influencer and all our ecosystem in the social media space are. And 2/3 of our company don't even speak French. We are 34 people. 24 of them are Argentinian, Brazilian, Mexican, American, Irish, and so on and so forth, and Slovakian too. And as a consequence, we use English as our primary work language. And when I say we use English as our primary working language, is everything we do is first in English and then in French and Spanish and Portuguese and whatever other language that we want to operate in. Obviously, when we speak on Slack to each other, it's in English because the Spanish don't speak French, the Portuguese don't speak French, and so on and so forth. So it's like when you're a founding team, and Ben and I were both French, and we speak French, and our first 5 employees were French, it's kind of easy to say, hey, let's speak French. It's more comfortable. It's my native language. I can make jokes they can actually understand. In English, it's more difficult. But resist that. Just try to do everything in English, which also means that if you want to be international, I think only 20% of our clients are in France, 80% are outside of France. You need to hire people locally. You need to hire people in the UK, you need to hire people in the US, you need to hire people in Brazil, you need to hire people in Spanish-speaking countries in South America, because it's cheaper than Spain. And you need to hire them locally, I mean remotely. So try, get prepared and organize your company in a way that it can work on a remote situation. So out of 34 employees, 24 of our people work away from Paris. 3, put your butts in planes and go where your influencers and your ecosystems are. For us, it was the US. I think the first 2 years, I was in the US every 2 months, speaking at conferences, attending conferences, networking with people. Get out of the building. I mean, everybody has read the Lean Startup, so do that. But do that in the country where things are happening, which 90% of the time is the US. And finally, big your tech infrastructure and your website and everything to be ready for multi-language. So you may not want to, you may want to start in English only and then extend to French and other languages, but make sure that what you build will be able to be turned into multi-language like in a click of the button. The second thing is you need to invest in marketing initiatives that compound over time. Do not do one-shots. I know it's exciting to get Product Hunt featured. I know it's exciting to be featured on TechCrunch or Mashable or whatever the hell is else, but it is not going to compound. And if you spend too much time and energy getting there, trust me, I know a ton of companies that have been featured on TechCrunch and Product Hunt that are dead today. I know very few companies that have consistently built a marketing engine that compounds, that's evergreen, and that they can keep cranking, that are dead today. It works much better over time. So content, SEO, retargeting, paid, outreach, referrals, building free tools like HubSpot has done very successfully for so many years. Things, and whatever, then it's tactic, so it doesn't really matter here. But you need to, when you do something marketing, you need to think about, will it compound? Can I keep doing this and add more and more and more, or will it do like this? And if it does that, don't do it. Until you reach at least 500K or maybe a million ARR, and then you can start playing PR and stuff. Be obsessed about what's your priority as a founder and what's your team priority. I mean, working a lot is not the solution to your problem. Working on the right things is the solution to your problem. And trust me, this is not easy to find out. And still today, 6 years down the road, I wake up every Monday morning and I'm like, okay, I need to think about my priorities for this week, and I need to think about my team's priority for this week, and I need to make sure that they're aligned. And if you don't do that exercise regularly and you don't check on yourself and your team on a regular basis, they will be misaligned, I guarantee you. I mean, priorities is something, it's a moving target, it changes all the time, and if you don't redefine and rethink through your priorities on a regular basis and force yourself to that exercise, things will get off sidetracked, guaranteed. Which leads me to that, because a lot of time, and I have to be honest with you, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what priorities I should invest on. I said, fuck, what should I do now? What should I do? I mean, I'm lost. I had 3 people there in my team. I just hired them. I don't know what they should be doing. When I was lost, I said, okay, the one thing that will never be a waste, invest on the customers. Invest in customer support, customer success, educate your customer, customer advocacy, customer this, customer that, whatever. If you do something that's aiming towards your customers, and you make sure that your customers get better service, better support, nicer, faster, whatever, it will be a good investment of your time. So work on your priorities, and when you don't know, make customer your priority and do everything around them. I love this one. It's really, your product will suck. It will suck day 1, it will suck day 10, it will suck day 100. Let me tell you another story. I had a chat with Gail Goodman. Gail Goodman is the CEO and founder of Constant Contact. For those of you who don't know Constant Contact, it's a small SaaS company that was sold $1.2 billion 6 months ago in Boston, based in Boston. And she's basically the competitors of MailChimp. Everybody knows MailChimp. MailChimp is the self-funded example, 400 million ARR, and Constant Contact, 400 million ARR, exactly the same, but VC-backed. And I was talking to her, and I told her, oh yeah, but we're version 5 of our product, but it sucks, kind of sucks. We're getting to version 6, and it's going to be much better. And then she told me, Emeric, this will never stop. Your product, you will always look at your product and think, fuck, it sucks. Thank God we have a new version coming up. And then the new version comes up, and then it sucks again for some other reason, and then you're looking for that. So your product will suck. And the big mistake I've made in the early days, and Ben witnessed that, and I'm sure he remembers, I said, let's not do any promotion right now. Let's not do too many marketing right now. We need that other feature, Ben. Ben, can you build it, please? And then he built a feature. And then I said, yeah, but we need that other feature. And so on and so forth. I was basically hiding behind the fear of, the product, they won't like it, they won't buy it. And I was not doing the job of promoting and marketing it. And thank God, 10 years later, after a couple of pivots, I've learned that whatever. I'll do whatever it takes. So when the product's ready, or when I feel the product's ready, it's already cranking. It's all the promotion, the marketing, the awareness, the traffic, the inbound, all that stuff's already coming up. So it's hard because you feel like I should wait for this to be great so I can talk to people and show them that great thing of mine. It will never be great. So do it now. Some people will like it. Few in the beginning, more as you move on, but they will like it. And when you're ready for the big prime time and the bigger prime time and the big day, you'll have your audience and you'll have your supporters. So do it early. Prepare for it. Even if you're not ready, prepare for it. And I know I've been guilty of not doing it for so long. Find that one thing that works for you and double down. Don't spread yourself too thin. And let's do some paid marketing, and let's go to a conference, and let's do an ebook, and let's do a blog, and let's do some videos. No, don't do that. Try different things, but then when you feel traction in one thing, just double down on that one. So for us, over the years, many things have worked over time. Obviously, content at some point, SEO at some point, and then they stop working, and we try something else. But what has worked for us in the last year is user reviews. So we are in a very competitive market. Social media management software, like uber competitive. And the competitors, they've raised bazillions of dollars, very, very hard. They have so much money and share of voice that it's impossible for you to appear organically on Google's results. So, but the first organic result is a user review site called G2 Crowd. And what we've done very early on, we've invested with our NPS and lots of different strategies and tactics to get our clients to give us reviews on G2 Crowd, where we have 350 right now. But we started 3 years ago. And look, what it does, it puts us almost like the big guys with a bazillion of dollars. And what's even better is the market leader, HootSuite, looks like shit. Look, we beat it on every single items. Ease of use, setup, admin, quality of support, doing business with, product direction. They look bad and we look good. And this is probably today the biggest driver for us for inbound leads and inbound marketing. Last but not least, a couple of tools we love. I know ChartMogul is a friend of SaaStock. They were there in September. ChartMogul is a tool that basically makes your SaaS metrics so freaking easy to read and understand that we love it. I have to say I'm totally addicted to it. I have the mobile app on my phone that I check when I get up in the morning, when I go to bed in the evening, just to see how much churn or growth I had today. It's really amazing in terms of what you can get. So like 2 years ago, we didn't have that, and creating investors presentation or team presentation to show our SaaS metrics was a nightmare. Now it's like walk in the park. Slack, I'm not going to talk about Slack, but it makes remote and the team across 4 continents be able to work together and have that team feeling and team spirit feeling. Support Hero, because it's a dear friend of mine who launched it, who is basically the best knowledge base for support for SaaS products, because it gives you insight. So when you have a lot of support tickets coming in, it helps you improve your support content so you get less of them. And it helps you understand what people are searching for, where they're finding answers, not finding answers. And when you get to that point where you get too many incoming and you don't want to hire a third, a fourth, a fifth person for support, but you just want to offer better self-help support, it does a great job. And the last one, Receptive, they were also at SaaStock in September. It's also related to support. It's basically the best software possible to gather feedback on your product. So you know all these people say, I want that feature, I want this feature, can you build YouTube, can you add this, can you add that? And Receptive is basically, it's like mini AI that's going to tell you, okay, that feature is requested by your highest paid clients. This one is requested by your free trials. This one, and then they can rank how much they want that feature, and they have like a system of points. So it makes your product direction and product meeting much easier. I love Receptive. And it's also young, dynamic startups led by 2 girls in the UK who are very, very cool and nice, and a guy too. So yeah, that's my last slide. And now I am open for questions. What's the hardest thing about Bootstrap? It takes too long. It's long with lots of O's. That's the hardest thing. Because you can get to the exact same point, like, MailChimp versus Constant Contact is the perfect example. Those 2 companies got to the exact same level of MRR, ARR, number of clients, fame, awareness. One didn't raise any money, and the other raised a ton of money and got a ton of dilution out of it as well. So you'll never raise VC then. Never say never, ever. We don't need VC money right now, so we're not looking for it. It's awfully time consuming. I mean, you guys, you've raised money too, some of you, right? It's a pain in the neck. It takes forever. You have to convince this guy who thinks that they know, and they don't know, and it's horrendous. It's horrible. I see Mathieu laughing here. It is, right? It is. It's horrible. It's not that we don't like you, it's just that it's difficult, and it takes us away from our business, and what we love doing is grow our business, not raise money. So maybe we'll do someday, but right now we're focusing on the business. It works for us, it's growing, and we think our time as founders is better invested in growing that business. How many employees do you have now? 34. Well, actually, it's a good question. Only 10 in France and 8 in the US, or 9. And we have a subsidiary in the US, so technically the French and the American employees are employees. And it's actually a good question, and I'm wondering how the other remote company are doing it, because we are working a lot on what can we do with the Mexicans, the Argentinians, the Irish, and the other guys, because we have people from other places. We can't have them as employees because we don't have a legal entity there. So we're doing contractor work, but we've built a contractor agreement and a freelance agreement or whatever, a service agreement with them that kind of look like an employer-employee agreement, where they have vacation, sick leave, healthcare, and lots of stuff. We want them to have the same level of protection that our employees. We can't legally do it, so we're trying to do it via a contract. So, how many years to get to 10? Well, for us, that's probably going to be 7 or 8. 10 million ARR, yeah. So we expect to get to 10 million in 2018, probably second half of 2018. Is being French founders an advantage? Yes, actually when I went to the US in the early years, I was going to these conferences, and sometimes I was speaking, and I thought, oh, I have an accent, it's horrible, they're gonna look at me like I'm a fool. And no, they love it, they actually love it. They say you're cute, you're exotic. All the 40, 50 something women came to me and became friends. No, it really, I mean, yeah, you can't make that kind of joke in the US, right? You, you would get thrown out of the room. No, it's actually an advantage. They like the exotic side of things, like we like when Americans or foreigners come to our country and speak with an accent, and as long as we can understand what they say, it's all good. So yeah, it's an advantage overseas. And obviously there are very few French founders in the US who are visible. So when you are visible in your industry or your ecosystem, it's actually a plus, which I thought was not true. Is it efficient to enter the US market without having, yes, absolutely. You don't need to have an office in the US. You need to have native speakers. You need to have people who are from there, and you can proofread your copy and tell you, no, that word doesn't work. Trust me, it doesn't work. Focus, it doesn't work. We have a lot of private joke in the company from our Americans who make fun of our French accents. But you don't need to have local presence. You need to have native speakers, wherever they are. And obviously, if they are in the time zone, it's better, especially if you want to provide support timely. But I would say in 2017, in a sales service, inbound base, of course, I'm not enterprise, I don't sell to the enterprise, I don't have salespeople or field sales or whatever, so it works for me. Obviously, if you're selling to the enterprise, it's a different story. What is biggest deal size? 10K a year, something like that. Like, that's probably what we get, the biggest. The average is 120K, 120 euro per month, MRR. What about sales? We have one inside salesperson. I know we had that discussion before it got started. We have one inside salesperson, and she is packed with demos all day long, and she absolutely freaking love it. But for now, yeah, we have one half-time French-speaking salesperson and one half-time Spanish-speaking salesperson, but they do a lot less than the English-speaking one is doing. How many salespeople? So like I said, one full-time inside sales, and 1, 2, 3, 3 part-time Portuguese, Spanish, and French. But they also do customer success, and they also do a little bit of support. They also do a little bit of everything. Like, they're kind of like a country manager with a focus on inside sales.